Alright guys, this is really exciting. I have another project pen porn for you, and this month it's another really good month. I think I probably had a bad month in, was it February? And then after that, like every single month was so good and I'm just like super pumped about this project still. Let's just start by explaining what I'm trying to do here. So I always try to pan two palettes and I'm not technically panning the whole thing. Specifically, I only want to hit pan on one shade, and once I hit pan on one shade, I feel I would have a good idea about the palette already. I will roll it out and roll in some other palette in its place and try to hit pan again. And I always work on two palettes at the same time, one being one of the newest in my collection just because I want to try out the newer palettes, and one being one of the older ones in my collection because I don't want to neglect my old palettes. Also, if by any chance they don't work out as well anymore, I would just toss them after this project, which I have done. I have tried a couple palettes, hit pan on them, and realized they don't work good anymore. I just toss them. So I feel this is a good way for me to go through my collection. And last time around, I had two little palettes. They are both very small because one is a trail, one is a dual. So really there are only 5 shades that I was working on. Let's start by talking about this Bare Mineral one's dual first. The dual is in the color The Guilty Pleasures. So this one, I've been working on it for 2 months in this project. I believe at the beginning of this project, it was a new palette to me. I have used it just a few times before this project, so there wasn't any progress per se. And then last update, after 1 month use, I was able to make a really deep dip in that yellowish shade. I was almost kind of like savoring it because how much I love that shade. I didn't want to hit pan. I wanted to use it 1 more month. So I kind of like put it away for a little bit. Regardless, right now I do have pan. Can you see? Yay! Bright shiny pan right there. This is like really a deep kind of shade, or deep pan I mean. Can you tell that depth? There's a lot of product in there. Does it say? Oh, there's like 2.7 grams of product for just the two of them. So even though the surface area is small, but there's a lot of product. So it took me a little while to hit pan on it. And once I hit pan, I think it expanded quite a bit. Also because the pan is really deep and I definitely use a lot of the product. So I'm really happy about that. I love that shade. It's a perfect transition shade for me. And then at the same time, this deeper brown shade, I think I did make a little dip as well, but I don't think it's anywhere close to hitting pan. I realize it's a little hard to see, but you can probably see that dip right there. Yeah, it's definitely visible, but I just don't think I'm close to hitting pan or anything. That one is a really easy outer V shade, and I think I can every day just throw those 2 shades on my lids and go out of the door. It's just such a quick and easy look, and yeah, I'm really pleased with this palette, but I'm gonna roll it out and I will keep it in my collection because you never know, like someday if I just need a quick look, I will go for this. And the trail here actually represents one of my oldest palettes. I think this one I probably got, I don't know, 2012, 2013, or maybe even earlier than that. It's definitely been quite a few years, and I just never really used it all that much, which was a shame. This one came from Wet n Wild. It's a limited edition trail. The color is called Spoiled Army Brat. So last update was when I put this little trail in this project, and it was very lightly used at that time. You can see most of the shades have a little dip in them, but then at the same time you can still make out the letters, the writing on each shade. So I really tried to work on those 3 shades in the last month, and right now I hit pan on 2 of the 3 shades. The pans aren't huge, I think mostly because I was using them very even cross out, so I was wearing everything down pretty evenly, and if I were to just concentrate in one spot, I could probably expand the pan a lot more, but I didn't want to do that. So this bottom shade, you can see this pan, I actually hit pan on this shade first. I use this one to set my eye primer, so I use it all over my lids, and it should be no surprise I can hit pan on it fast. This shade was also a little bit more on the powdery side, so whenever I use it, it always kicks up a lot of powder. So it should be no surprise that I hit pan on it pretty fast. This one, however, I think it kind of surprised me because I would use it on my lids some days if I want to go for a little bit deeper look, or sometimes I would use it as a transition shade. I think it worked well in both ways, depends on the look I was going for. But then I don't think I was using it in big surface areas or anything like that, so I was a little surprised I hit pan on that. Honestly, I feel I use this middle pink shade way more, but maybe because I only use it on the outer V, so the surface area was too small. So even though I used it more frequent, it just didn't hit pan. Regardless, I think this one is a really good palette. I was really happy with the looks I can come up with this palette. And if I was really in a pinch, I can even just only use those 3 shades and I can make a look out of it. So I think this one overall is a really good palette. It's just a little bit more on the powdery side. So you can see now that I hit pan on both of the palettes. That means I'm gonna roll both of them out and I will put in 2 new palettes in their places. So to replace the older palette, I actually grabbed another Wet n Wild Little Trail, and it's also on the pinky color side. This one is in the shade Knock on Wood. It's not a limited edition or anything. I believe this one's been around for a long time, and I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the looks. This one is just a little bit more on the deeper side. I don't have a eye primer setting shade here, but I do have a transition, and both of those could be used as outer V, or if I want to go with a little more smoky look, I can probably use this one all over the lids. I feel this one is much more densely packed inside. There's no kick of powder or anything, so I think this one will last me more than a month. It should take me a little while to be able to make some use out of it, because it just doesn't really go down, you know, it's really densely packed. So I have no problem with that. I think it's a good palette as long as I'm still enjoying it. I don't mind panning it for long. And the newer palette that I grabbed this time around is from Marc Jacobs. So this one is a Style Icon number 7, and the shade of the palette is the Dreamer. I think I bought this one probably 2016, honestly. Or was it 2017? Oh, no, it was last year, last spring. Yeah, that's right. But I feel I have so many palettes and I just never really got a chance to really use this one. I mean, when I first got it, I probably used it for a few weeks and I put it away, and I still don't think I know this palette all that well after all this time. And I have a few other shades of this palette in my collection too. So I really want to try them out and then use them on my own and then just figure out if I like them or not. Because those are expensive palettes. I definitely don't want them to just sit around. So this one is definitely a more neutral color palette. Can you tell? It's very just warm brown tones. It's very traditional. And those two are a little bit more on the pinky side. It's easy to use. I used this one in my brows today. It's definitely deeper of a brow than I'm used to, but I think it still works. And I used this one to set my eye primer, and I think the rest of them I can just use them interchangeably for the crease color or for the all over the lid color. This gold is really pigmented and it almost looks a little bit foil-like on the eyes. I really like that one. But then those two shades are a little bit less pigmented. So I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about this palette overall, which is kind of funny. So I just want to give it some love and try to use it a little bit more and just see how I feel about it. So that's it, guys. I think this update overall is also very exciting because I did hit pan on both of my little palettes that I was working on. And I don't even know how many palettes I have gone through in this project now. 7, I want to say. 7 or 8. I think that's really good. In like around half a year, I was able to go through like 7 palettes in my collection. And at the end, either like I really love them and I use them and just hit pan and put them away, or I realize I hate them and declutter them. Like either way, I think it's good. It's really nice for me to understand my collection a little bit better. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm happy with it, and let me know where you are at with your palette palettes or project pen porn, whatever you're doing project-wise with your palettes, and I would like to know. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. so you can see my future updates. And thank you guys for watching. Bye.